I'll today explain to you how these virtual reality headsets are going to completely revolutionize the school education system, but also the corporate training space. And we are building learning simulations to capture this big market opportunity. If we look at education today, it's incredibly boring. It's actually been studied and proven that it is boring and also very expensive at the same time. And it's not only education, it's also the same in corporate training. Very boring often and also very expensive, where companies fly in people from all over the world to do training. But there is a much, much better way. And if we look at the innovation happening right now in education, it's very little actually. Books are being turned into e-books, and blackboards are being turned into YouTube videos, and lecture hall monologues are being turned into MOOCs, massive open online courses. And really all we're doing here is taking the same content and bringing it out to more people. But the teaching method here is still more or less the same. And that's what we are revolutionizing and changing. And what we did is we looked at flight simulators, which had been proven many, many times to be much, much more effective than even 100% in-flight training. And we used those same concepts to build our first prototype product, which is now used all over the world. It's called Labster. And it's a simulation of a virtual laboratory. And I'll show you a very short 1-minute video here that explains it. So basically now the students can go into a fully simulated laboratory and perform experiments with otherwise very expensive machines that could cost millions of dollars. But it's not just simple simulations. This is a collaboration with MIT where we simulate cancer research, cutting-edge cancer research, and make it available to companies and students all over the world. And what the schools can benefit from this, and the companies, is that they can suddenly save, again, millions of dollars on costs and create very realistic simulations. And they can also let the employees and the students learn on a molecular level what's happening inside the machines, which is something you can't even do in the real world today. And then you can do dangerous experiments as well. Here, for instance, you can work with salmonella, which is also an important topic that many schools cannot teach today. But we didn't stop there, because we knew it's important, of course, for us to constantly quiz the students to make sure we know that they understand the concepts. So as they go through these simulations, we always check to ensure they understand all the steps. And then we also add engaging and fun simulations that really motivates the students and also makes them understand why they're learning about important topics. Here, for instance, they learn in a CSI crime scene lab how to solve murder cases by gathering blood samples from the crime scene and then going into the real lab and actually doing it, not just passively watching a CSI case, for instance. This is an example where 300 students are learning about core science skills. And of course, if you would have to do this in the real world with real laboratories, it would cost millions of dollars. And we did a study last year that was published in Nature, and it proved that using these virtual simulations is actually much, much better than real traditional teaching methods. 76% if you use it alone with the same amount of time spent. This was a study done with 160 students, and it also proved that if you combine these virtual simulations with teacher training, then you can increase learning effectiveness by 101%. And I'll be happy to share this study with you as well. It's very, very interesting. I did a TEDx talk, as Sunny mentioned. You can see it also online, where I go a little more into the details of it and show especially this virtual reality part, which is really the next big step for both us and also the whole industry of learning and education. And suddenly you can now step into these simulations, and I'll encourage you to try this. Please just let me know, because it is almost as real as if you're standing there. And you can imagine if you take this technology, this idea, and apply it to all the different verticals out there in corporate training, such as flipping burgers at McDonald's, or working with big factory lines, car manufacturers and so forth. And we're now working together with many leading international companies that are headquartered here in Zurich in Switzerland to create these cutting-edge training and learning simulations.